beehive must have an entry point through which the bees, especially the worker bees and drones, can use to get in and out of the hive in search for food and pollen. Professor Kindiki clarifies where the entry points should be placed in a hive and the number of entry points.
One standard thing is that the bees should enter through the brooder, and not the other side, because it is at that point where the queen is and does not move any further. If you make holes all over, then you are going to have the broods all over, and it will be like contaminating the honey, because like it happens in traditional log hives. That's one problem, because it is almost impossible to seal the whole hive. Although the bees do it themselves using propolis, they will seal the openings and leave some open, but there is a likelihood of having the broods even in the middle of the hive, on the side of the hive, and when the farmers harvest there, they harvest everything. So you find some honey containing pollen. If the queen is separated, as I've just illustrated here, completely using the screen I've just shown, then there is no chance of harvesting honey that contains pollen or that contains brood. That is excluded. But in the traditional log hive, you find such honeys that contain brood, that contain pollen, and that honey will not be good for some markets. For example, the export market will not take such honey. Nothing in terms of nutrition. In fact, it's highly nutritional anyway to consume it. But then for those who are interested in pure honey, as we say, they will see that as contamination. So it's not good enough.
A good way to begin beekeeping is to bait an empty hive, known as the catcher box, to attract a swarm. Set up a catcher box on top of a tree, rub it inside with some beeswax, lavender, or granulated sugar or cassava powder to give it an attractive smell. This will only be successful in areas where there are still plenty of honey bee colonies. You can also transfer a colony from the wild into the hive. The wild colony will already have a number of combs, and these can be carefully tied onto the top bars of the hive, making sure that you include the brood combs and the queen. One of the best ways to get started in beekeeping is with the assistance of an experienced beekeeper.
There's what we call a catcher box that you're supposed to place at some eye level or at we call it the roots, the bees' roots, the direction that usually bees follow. You have to put it there so that they can catch the bees that are coming. And once it traps those bees, then you transfer it to the hive. The other alternative is you can use the same hive. For example, if your hives are Langstroth, use the super alone. You put it high for it to attract the bees. I think we have got one of the catcher box. You put it high on the tree for it to attract the bees, and once once the hive is colonized, you bring it down. Once this area is full, that's when you introduce now the super. Even when you are dividing your colony, there must be a queen. So when we hear that the hive has been colonized, it means that a queen has been installed in that hive. You cannot say that a hive has been colonized when there's no queen. No. There must be a queen for a hive to be colonized. So even that catcher box, the bees will come carrying their queen. The bees will come from wherever, carrying their queen. After they scout the area and realize that this place is conducive for us. You know, it's like you when you are going to maybe to check a house, you want to occupy a house, you have to go first, identify a house, and make sure that you are okay. This house, this is what I want. The same thing with the bees. They do not just go occupying hives. First of all, there's what they call the scouts, the scouting bees. They come first, they scout the area. They can come even with the queen. First of all, they put it somewhere, just surveying and make sure that yes, this is the appropriate area for the bee, for them to live. And if they have identified the hive, then they bring in their queen, and that becomes their home. That's how intelligent bees are. They don't just go in occupying anything. First of all, you have to be very sure. They have to make sure that that hive doesn't have ants. There are no cobwebs. It is clean for them to stay in, and then they go in.
Bees need a supply of food and water to survive, and during dry periods, the beekeeper may have to supplement these natural resources. Bees make more or less honey depending on the flow of the nectar. An area with enough plants, flowers and trees, a beekeeper is likely to collect more honey than a dry area where bees have to travel a long distance to collect nectar. After transferring the bees from the catcher box to the hives, a farmer is supposed to check the hive 3 weeks after to ensure the success of the process. Professor Miriam explains more on how a bee farmer should manage the hives for successful honey production.
You are supposed to be checking your hives at least in 3 weeks' time. You must have to come and check the hives that if they are still okay, or if there are some pests like these growing insects, the ants and the spiders. You have to check whether the hives are clean in a way that the bees will be comfortable for them. It will be conducive enough for the bees to stay there. So you must keep off the ants from the hives. So it is it's a routine thing, it's a regular thing. You don't have to put them and then go away. Because if those bees, if they attack, those ants, if they attack the bees will run away. So you have to check, and if there's anything, if there's dust or the cobwebs or the ants, you put them off. Usually we normally use, like on this stand, we use some oils. Maybe used oil, engine oil, the used ones. You smear it. That one will keep the ants away from invading the hives. Usually as a beekeeper, you can take, for it, you have to keep on checking it. We agree that first of all, even as a part of management of the hive, you have to keep on checking at least once per 3 weeks. But usually, like this area, we brought these hives in July. I think we brought the hives in July. You realize that it has taken about 3 months for the bees to settle and to put honey, and now we are harvesting. But other times where we have a lot of flowers, and when you're using this kind of hives, after you harvest, you are not taking off the honeycombs. Remember, there's some products that are here, like beeswax. If you want to use beeswax, whereby we use the KTBH hives, we harvest everything so that you can harvest also beeswax. But for example, where we are using the long straw that has a wire, if you just extract honey and then you bring back when the comb is intact, bees will not spend so much time constructing some more combs. For them, it will just be filling honey in those combs. So it can take, if there are enough flowers, it can take just a month or 3 weeks, and the honey is ready again to be harvested. With enough foliage, you can harvest honey almost every month from the Langstroth hive. If you are using the KTBH, it can take about 2 to 3 months for you to harvest honey, where we have enough forage, and the environment is conducive enough for the bees. There's flowering throughout the season.
Professor Miriam attests that for a beekeeper to know that a hive is ready for harvesting, it produces a sweet aroma. This is a sign that the honey in the hive is ripe and mature for harvesting.
As you walk along the hives, you can tell this hive has enough. It's ready for harvesting. One is that sweet aroma or the scent that it produces from the hive. Then the other thing, you come and test using, you knock on those bars that are holding the combs. The one that has the honey, it will produce very little noise. But the one that has no honey, it is a bit sharp. As you know, the empty devil, it makes a lot of noise, but the one with water, it makes very little noise. So those are some of the things that a beekeeper normally uses to check whether there's honey in the hive.
Almost every beekeeper looks forward to the day when they're able to reap the rewards of their hive, the honey. For those beekeepers who have never extracted honey from their hive, the process can feel a bit overwhelming. Having the right gears for honey harvesting is always a good start.
You must use the right gears. You must use the clean buckets. But one of the major things is this one, the bee smoker. The bee smoker, you must have it because you cannot touch bees without this one. This one, you cheat bees with this smoke. You make them less violent. Just the way, the tear gas is used when they want to when there's violence, when there's a, what do we call it? When people are rioting, you find that the policemen, they use the tear gas to keep off people. So, as a beekeeper, you use the smoker to make the bees less violent so that they can allow you to harvest honey. That is one. And then we said that you must use this hive too for you to separate the honeycombs, the bars, because they are stuck together using the propolis by the bees. And this one is after you separate it, also even for cutting the combs, where we open, the one that we use for opening the sealed honey now, the comb. But this one, it is also good for cutting the combs from the KTBH hive. Then we have to use also the brush for blasting off the bees. We just cut our combs ready for extraction.
When it comes to harvesting the honey, a beekeeper should not work alone. This is because the bees in the hive can become aggressive and disrupt the process or even compete to drink the honey from the combs. Therefore, two people should attend to a hive, one with a smoker to keep away the bees while the other person is harvesting.
We want to harvest from this hive. It has been here for about 3 months, 2 to 3 months since it was colonized. And the procedure is we start by smoking the bees so that they can be a little bit calm as we harvest. So she will do that. She will, and you can see she's smoking it from the brooder side. Sorry? On your, yeah, endelea. Yeah, so that the bees now can. What is happening now, the worker bees have gone down to try to drink as much honey as possible because they have seen that somebody wants to steal from them. Meanwhile, the drones are out to fight and to defend the honey, the beehive. So we might see some drones coming out when we open, but there's no cause for alarm. They are likely not to sting anyone. What she's doing now, she's trying to separate the bars because they've been attached very firmly by the bees to the hive. We have to constantly keep them smoked. You can see they are disappearing into the hive. As I have explained, they want to drink that honey. So this is in the process. Now she's going to wipe out the bees from the comb. She's going to wipe out the bees from the comb. So that we don't carry any to the extraction room, trying to clean the comb of all the bees. You want the bees back in the hive. Yeah, you see it was starting to get sealed, but very quickly they have started to open and drink. You can see how they are drinking honey actually. It's only that the camera cannot come. Look at them. They are very busy trying to suck as much as possible. Now, when you see them in the comb, look at them. What they are doing now, they are trying to suck the honey from the comb as much as possible. And you can see in the outer side, they have already done that. So the honey is only in the middle part. So we are supposed to harvest quite fast. Otherwise, if we stay here for another 20 minutes, we get nothing. The other product is that if you look at these bars, they have a dark color. This is propolis. What she's doing now, she's trying to get the propolis using the same. You can show them what that is propolis. We harvest propolis. It's what I was talking about, the propolis. This dark, the black things. This is a very valuable hive product. This one that we are also interested in. So when you look at it, it looks like uchafu, but it's a very valuable thing. And you can see even the bees. You see, they are trying also to eat as much as possible before the invaders or before we can harvest. Now, what we want to show, let's try to see what happens. This is the super. We'll remove the super and try to go to the brooder section where the queen is. Normally it's not supposed to be harvested, but this is the highly guarded section of the hive. You see, they have sealed the net completely using propolis. I'm going to remove it. Give space. So we are trying to reach the queen now, and it's going to be a fight. Because these guys, they have discovered we are being it's an invading army. It may not be easy because of the propolis. It's too much. Comb here, it's dark. It's not like what we had on the top. These are dark combs because of the nature of the material that is stored here. Normally, normally the material that is stored here is pollen and royal jelly. Royal jelly is only fed to the queen. Pollen is fed to the bees, other bees, the workers, and the drones. The queen does not share. You will not easy to identify the comb unless we go one by one. The drones are dark. They have a dark abdomen. And when you look at them, let me show something. If you look at them, you'll find when they sit, the abdomen, they raise it up. They raise the abdomen up so that the venom can come out.
If you're using the Langstroth hive, one can harvest 15 to 20 kilograms, and Kenya Top hive 20 to 30 kilograms per harvest when properly stocked.
From the Langstroth hive, you can harvest about 15 to 20 kilograms of honey. If you're using the KTBH, because it is bigger, you can harvest about 20 to 30 kilograms of honey per harvest when it is properly stocked. You have said it will take about 2 to 3 months depending on the flow of nectar. That is, if you're using the KTBH hive. But if you're using the Langstroth hive, because you have not harvested from, you have not cut off the honeycombs. You have just removed the honey from the honeycombs. So the honeycombs are intact. And they can take about 3 to 1 month for that honey to be stocked again. That is, if the environment is conducive, if you have enough flow of nectar, you can harvest. Within a month, you can go back again and harvest. Because the bees, what they did, they just filled the honeycombs with the nectar, which is ready for harvesting within a month.
As demonstrated earlier by Miriam, the Kenya top bar hive and the Langstroth hive have different types of combs where the bees store their honey. At the Tharaka Honey Apiary, Professor Kindiki enlightens more on the combs and what beekeepers should expect when harvesting from the different types of hives.
From this hive, we're going to get honey plus beeswax. So we will harvest the whole comb. You know, they start from the brooder going that way. So like this one, what we're explaining, if you try to tap this one and you tap here, you can tell where the honey is. So by do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, si, do, you can tell if you go on like that. So but as you increase the pitch that way, you know there's no honey that side. Smoke this a little bit. Now, so these bees, you see, like they want to sting the comb. They are not stinging the comb. They just want to drink the honey because they have realized that somebody wants to take it away from them. And they have done a good job of drinking almost the whole comb. But we still have some honey inside. They have not finished. So we don't want to go with any of them to the processing unit. So when we are done, this is clean now, we will cut it. And then this one we return to the hive. We don't take it as in Langstroth hive. Our honey is now ready for processing, for extraction. That's the first step of processing, extraction of the honey. This is from the Kenya Toba, which we are going to harvest the honey and the beeswax. And then from the Langstroth hive, we are going just to get the honey and return the combs to the beehive.
After harvesting the honey from the hive, it is now time for extraction and processing of the honey from the combs. As a beekeeper, rearing bees for business, one must have an extraction unit to separate the honey from the combs and wax. At Tharaka Honey Bee Farm, they have a centrifuge machine that is used to extract the honey from the combs.
This is a centrifuge for honey extraction. And usually we use honey that we have harvested from the Langstroth hives. This is not the honey in the comb from the Langstroth hive. We have to uncap it, removing the layer that the bees keep. You see? We release the honey now. This one we just modified it to extract honey from combs that we have harvested from the Kenya top hive. So it's used for holding the combs. This is what we do. We position it properly on this mesh. then I'm scrubbing it off so that I can reveal honey to expose honey for easier extraction, because bees are sealed it. So from there, I just position it there and put it here.
Aside from the honey collected, a beekeeper can also make money from the propolis and wax from the beehive. Tharaka Honey have established a method of melting the beeswax from the hive, which form liquid wax, and after cooling, it forms candle wax, which they pack and sell.
When we were in the apiary, you saw us scrubbing some substance. This was the product. This is propolis. It is highly medicinal. It's a very strong antibiotic. But we also use it to prepare the hives so that they can attract the bees. We smear it. We melt and then we smear. We mix with the beeswax, then we smear on the hives for it to attract the bees. But this one, we are processing it to give us very, very nice medicine. We call it propolis tincture. It can be used to treat many ailments. You're feeling water here. Then we allow this one to boil it. We allow this to boil so that they can extract the beeswax.
Beekeeping, being a livestock subsector with a huge untapped potential, could contribute to Kenya's rural household income. After all, becoming a beekeeper is as easy as 1, 2, 3. All you need to do is follow the steps and training that Professor Miriam has shared, and you will definitely get started on the business.
What we are collecting now is melted beeswax. This is what we get after it cools down. You can make candles, you can make shoe polish, you can make lotions, body lotions. Okay, also very nice lip balms, lipsticks. You can use it for anything. Very nice. It's a very nice premium product.